I'm Beth and I am a foster carer for Gwynedd Local Authority. In my early 20s I worked in a children's home, and it was at that point that I realised that I wanted to be a foster carer. But at that time, being single, working full-time and still being very young, I didn't think that was a possibility. However, as I got towards the end of my 20s, I was in the middle of undertaking my social work degree, and I felt that it was worth exploring it and trying to find out whether it was going to be possible at some point in the future. In March 2012, I was approved as a respite foster carer, initially for one child and then sometime later for 2 children. So I did respite for a number of years. Sometimes I'd have children to stay just as a one-off. They'd come maybe for a weekend. I had children to stay a couple of days a year. They'd come back again at a couple of different points in the year. And then I'd have other children that would come and stay regularly for a weekend every month. And those children stayed with me for a period of a few years in doing that. In the summer of 2018, one of the little boys that I was fostering regularly, when he first came to stay, he was 2.5, and he'd been coming to stay for about a year by this point. And he needed a new long-term placement. So I was approached by the fostering team to see whether I would consider taking him on full-time. I really wanted to, and it was something that the fostering team were aware that I wanted to explore, having a child live with me full-time. But at that time I was still working full-time, still single, and I just wasn't sure how that was possibly going to work. I work Monday to Friday 9 till 5, and as it happened, the timing-wise was perfect for this little boy because he was just starting school and starting Kilch. And with the childcare that was available through school with the wraparound care, it made it possible for me to continue working full-time and have him living with me full-time as well. So in the summer of 2018, he actually moved in and I became a long-term full-time foster carer. I'm still registered for respite for another child as well, so occasionally I have another child come to stay, normally just for a weekend, and that's been working really well. I honestly can't speak highly enough of the social workers in the fostering team. I've had a really good experience with them. In the time that I've been fostering, I've been supervised by a few different social workers, and have equally been incredibly supportive. I think they have the balance of the support just right, so it doesn't feel like they're there all the time, and it's not too intrusive. We can kind of get on with family life, but at the same time, they're there, and I know that if I need anything, all I've got to do is pick up the phone. They are incredibly supportive. If we need anything, if we need advice, they also are able to put us in touch with a psychotherapist so that we can talk through any difficulties that we have with the child, and that's been really invaluable to me as well. So my advice really is if you are considering fostering, if it's something that you're just in the early stages of, or if it's something you know you want to do, my advice is to pick up the phone, call the fostering team, and just to have those initial discussions. Some of the barriers and things that you might think are there actually probably aren't. Foster carers come from all walks of life, as do the children that we foster. So the things that perhaps you may feel will prevent you from being able to foster, maybe you work, maybe you're single, maybe you haven't got a big house, that the things that you perhaps feel are barriers and prevent you from doing it probably aren't barriers at all. So it's really worth getting in touch and having that initial discussion.